Hello. Well, Zooming. Thank you very much, everyone. Uh, Continuation of our teaching on perfection of wisdom. Let's take a couple of moments to gather our thoughts and our intention, and most importantly, the altruistic motivation with which we have heard a lot about the importance of armoring our intention. Because it's the intention that determines the outcome, the consequences, the benefit that we hope to have by listening, by attending, thinking, reflecting these teachings. Often we think our intention is, what is it for me tonight, this body, this life. We're always thinking of just me, my body, and this present moment. So altruistic armored intention requires us to think not of self but for the others. Sure, we are interested in the benefit of the first person, but the first person can also include few of his friends, would be useful. And then few more again, few more, and then realize you can include everybody as well. So it's just because I'm going there anyway, so I'll do it for everyone. So that kind of, and then you realize the intentions are armored in terms of for whom, for how long. It's not just for tonight, not just for this few days or few weeks or whatever, but until the best benefit that can reach to everyone. And often we are doing things as long as comfortable in the body, but we should say as long as that it will leave a good propensity on a mind stream from here onwards. So that has been a very important part of the teachings. And here, before we say the prayers of refuge, because if we arm our intention, we are in refuge. We are refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, the Sangha, because the teaching is always teaching us to how to armor our intention. Check. Before you can, when they say please put the seat belt on, you have to first check whether you got a seat belt or not. Hopefully you got a car that has a seat belt, and that works. And then secondly, being able to put on before you drive. These are so simple. The modern safety first, they go safety first. Yeah. So the intention. So we are acquainted. We are familiar with the importance of the bodhicitta, and that's why we do the refuge. And for emerge at the very beginning. Now let's do just that. We join your hands at the heart. And let's do the prayers. Oyenda Buddha Dhamma Sangha Ajara Vyara Aladama Bhavaja Ajevandala Ajara Vadavatruve and Abu Dhamma Sangha Ajara Vyara Aladama Bhavaja Ajevandala Ajara Vadavatruve and Abu Dhamma Sangha Ajara Vyara Aladama Bhavaja Ajevandala Ajara Vadavatruve. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and cause of suffering. May they know a powerful happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, aversion, adoration, and vow. May all beings have happiness and cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering and a cause of suffering. May they know apart from happiness, they know no suffering. May they dwell in equanimity, free from attachment, and those never. Forbearance, happiness, and the cause of happiness. May they be free from suffering, and the cause of suffering. May they never part from the happiness that knows no suffering. May they dwell equanimity, free from her judgment and aversion to those near and far. According to the intelligence and possession of it, the Dharma, agrelo and common goals. So tonight we begin with the third main chapter of the text, that is how to practice the four definite harmonious factors. This is an interesting title, Four Definite Harmonious Factors. These four definite harmonious factors refers to the four distinctive qualities that you develop on the path of preparation. We have been talking extensively on what makes a bodhisattva go through different stages. We talked about the 10 parameters and so on. Now, from here onwards, it becomes really, really interesting because it is all about how to do the meditation on the perfection of wisdom by supposedly having cultivated the path of accumulation, by armoring the bodhicitta, which we had talked a lot about, and then how does the person actually goes to do the meditation on emptiness. Because path of preparation is you have sufficient merit to understand intellectually and conceptually the meaning of emptiness, so that you then develop your meditation on the perfection of wisdom itself. And that's why it's called how to practice four definite conducive factors. These conducive factors are, these four are only the interesting title, but usually they're called the four factors of the path of preparation, simply speaking. They are heat, peak, forbearance, and excellent Dharma. So we'll come to talk about those things first. But first it lays a foundation. Rongton talks about how to understand that. He says that in order to practice and understand these four definitive conducive factors, which is heat, peak, forbearance, and excellent Dharma, there are four conditions you need to understand. The first is the Four Noble Truths, which we talked about specifically, are the objective condition of this meditation. Objective condition meaning because your main purpose is to realize the Four Noble Truths. Because we may conceptually know the Four Noble Truths, but we may conceptually understand the Four Noble Truths, but we still haven't really realized the Noble Truth of Cessation at all. So Noble Truth of Cessation, to Noble Truth of Cessation means you have to starting to gain the path of seeing. So before path of seeing, you have path of preparation. So therefore, the objective of these four conducive factors are Four Noble Truths. Okay, that's the first condition. And then the causal condition is the awakening the Buddha nature of the great vehicle. So we have heard about the importance of the Buddha nature. The Buddha nature is the awakening that dormant, the Buddha nature that remained dormant at the moment, by giving rise to the altruism, not only the relative altruism, but conceptual understanding of the ultimate understanding of perfection wisdom, the ultimate bodhicitta. You are awakening the Buddha nature, which is the main feature of the great vehicle. And that's the causal condition. So you need to therefore have this Buddha nature as the actual cause that needs to be awakened from the dormant nature of it. Whereas if you just talk about the Four Noble Truths itself, without the Mahayana, you will be talking on a completely different level. So that's what we call causal condition and objective condition. Objective condition is to try to realize the Four Noble Truths, but what will speed up for you to realize the Four Noble Truths is the causal condition of having awakened your Buddha nature, meaning you have deliberately said yes to bodhicitta and have vowed and given rise to bodhicitta, both as a wishing as well as a engaging. Like this very activity we are doing tonight, this is the engaging bodhicitta, because you are listening with the generation of bodhicitta. You are generously giving your time, your energy, your Zoom time, your electricity, your heater. You probably are missing out some television shows, and you see you're quite giving a lot. All of this that you're giving is generosity. So, and then you're listening with a lot of discipline and a lot of patience, and because these concepts are not so easy to understand, and you're listening with a lot of joy and concentration. All these things are awakening your Buddha nature. It's a causal conditioning. And then the third condition is immediate condition. Immediate condition, creating an inroad to enhance virtuous quality, like this very activity we are doing. This is immediate conditions. This is immediacy of your causal condition to get awakened, is because you need to engage in this kind of immediate conditionings that enhances your knowledge, that enhances your virtue of tolerance, comprehension of emptiness, and then combining the understanding of emptiness with compassion, and all of these are called immediate condition. Immediate conditions. These four conditions, the objective condition, causal condition, immediate condition, and then the fourth one is called possessive condition. These are actually the terminology of the Buddhist metaphysics, and particularly of the syllogism. For instance, they talk about, if I give a simple example of objective condition, if I want to see the blue flower is the objective condition. I wanted to go and buy a blue flower, So therefore I go all the way from my home and drive to the florist, drive to Belconnen markets, hopefully it's open, say it's not locked down. Then go to my favorite florist, hopefully they're open, and hopefully they got blue flower. So the fact that they sell blue flowers, and I know exactly, that's the objective condition, okay? And then causal condition is, I want to buy that flower to give my birthday present to my mom. Okay, so I have a really big causal condition to go and do that. Yeah. And then I drive there all the way and go to the shop without any problem there. I reach at the shop. I go straight into the blue flower. My eyes can spot the blue flower in the shop. That's immediate condition. Immediate condition is the blue flower. Yeah, that's immediate condition. And then the fourth one is the possessive condition. Possessive conditions are two types, negative and positive. Of course, and then I go to the shop and I'm looking for the blue flower, but there's no blue flower. But even the blue flower there is a wilted one. So I get disappointed. What a waste of my effort coming all this far. So that's a possessive. I'm possessed by the lack of the blue flower or wiltedness of blue flower. So I could experience. Oh, the positive possessive condition is I just get the very last but best flower that florist says this is just from my garden or whatever. So I will buy it. No, I'm not bargaining the price. I'll even tip the lady $5. I like the flower so much. So these four conditions you must understand syllogistically. But these are not just syllogism only. In everyday life, we are always using these four conditions. And then the cause itself is quite different. We are not talking about cause here. We're not talking about the condition here. So those are the. So with the therefore, in order to, in this context, we are talking about how to practice the heat, peak, forbearance, and excellent Dharma. For this, we need these four conditions. Yeah, the objective condition is Four Noble Truths, and causal condition is the awakening the nature of the grey vehicle, the Mahayana Buddha nature. The third is creating an inroad to enhance virtuous qualities, that is immediate condition. And then the possessive condition, in this case, to adopt these practices, yeah, to adopt and take up this meditation. And then here Rongton goes into something quite interesting. So, but it's not a distraction, by the way. But I was quite interested when I'll read this because I translated this carefully. So, when one meets a friend, you are happy to give them a gift, you know, like the blue flower I was talking about. Like I want to give a flower. When one becomes old and sick, the material possession will be needed. So, because not only you need the material possession when you're young, but when you're old and sick, you will need even more material possession will be needed. There's no one who does not desire. Why? Because we live in the desire realm. Our realm is called desire realm. So it's a question is how much of what you desire is excessive, how much is just right, how much is inadequate. So there's no one who does not desire. Even all the good people judge by what one has on the outside. So do not ignore it. So meaning, look after your physical well-being. And if one is not materially self-sufficient, even relatives may look down upon you. Not only others. If one is great in form, but since all Dharma people depend on each other, it does not contradict to offer service. Meaning, if you have something sufficiently in your possession, that people know that you are self-sufficient, you don't have to be being always dependent on others, and means you will be in a position to offer a help to other people. Yeah. So that was an interesting statement there, but it doesn't seem to relate to what we were talking just exactly saying. There is no need to restrain one's body and speech. This is another statement by Rongton saying that there's a lot of emphasis people should restrain the mouth and body as a practitioner, So he says there is no need to restrain your body and speech. Since body is subject to grow weak, one should gently restore the physical energy. So you shouldn't restrain, I shouldn't eat this much, this is too much, this is too, cost a lot of things and have a lot of hardship to other sentient beings. And so you shouldn't sort of neglect your physical well-being, he says. Because body will naturally grow weak and old. So therefore, it's your duty to restore the physical energy before it is too late. Having evening meal, this is Rongton is helping the monks. Having evening meal and slurping the drinks will cause no harm. because quite a lot of serious monks wouldn't eat evening meals, let alone slurping them. Even when they meant to have it, they will sip gently. Because all the evening meals are soup anyway, so they will be slurping. In Tibet, all the evening meals are soup. Generally, doing good deeds, generally doing good deeds will suffice for Dharma practice. So Dharma practice is basically doing good. Be generous with use of your own wealth. So this is about how to practice generosity. Enlightenment does not come from overexertion. So overexertion meaning, you neither have any, you never look after your well-being, nor you give it to other people. You practice extreme asceticism, So Rongton is saying that enlightenment does not come from overexertion. So they say. Especially when one visits the sick, his physical condition has deteriorated badly. If you look at somebody who's been sick long time, you will see their physical body has deteriorated, so he cannot be left like that. So if you visit someone who's very sick, you shouldn't just let them, go deteriorate like that. So without showing any sign of weariness, one should say, I love you, and embrace negative condition as part of being on the path. So that means the person who you're visiting, maybe your loved one, you really don't want to go there so many times because his condition is so bad. But you should embrace their weakness, their sickness, as being part of yourself being on the path. Now this relates to what we were saying, that create an inner road to enhance virtuous quality as immediate condition. Use someone's sickness and weakness as a cause for you to boost your bodhicitta and Buddha nature by extending help to them as part of generating these relative and ultimate bodhicitta. With regard to the positive possessive factors, so what we were just saying is that someone who's sick, someone who's weak, people tend to actually mourn and groan that their mother's sick, they were sick. Even though visit, they just wish they don't have to go so many times. They are not using the negative possessive conditions we were talking about. And they are almost badly affected by the negative condition of sick and weakness of your relatives. But here he's saying is that instead of letting someone's sickness and weakness and difficulties as a negative and something too much for you, you should embrace their sickness and weakness as an opportunity to boost your bodhicitta, altruism, and therefore practice this. It says, so then the negative become positive conditioning. With regard to positive possessive conditioning, one should act according to Dharma when one interacts with friends, especially according to the Mahayana teachings of putting the well-being of others first rather than complaining the well-being difficulties of others as a burden to you. With study, contemplation and meditation, one should cut through the doubts concerning self-grasping and practice the 6 paramitas, which is basically engaged bodhicitta. If genuine Dharma is practiced, it goes to fulfill the purpose of both these and future lives. So if you're really doing something useful, useful with positive possessive conditionings, then you're not only helping them now, but you're actually sowing seed for the good for you and them in the future lives. Especially when there is sickness and it's difficult, this is an excellent opportunity to practice Dharma. So when you have someone sick, when you have someone who needs more time than you are willing to give, someone who needs more funds than you're willing to spare, and that is the excellent opportunity to practice Dharma, Those are exactly what we're talking about. Noble truth of Four Noble Truths is objective condition, where there's a truth of suffering, truth of origin of suffering. Now you need to practice the truth of the path, which is actually practicing generosity, tolerance, and all the rest. And then your causal conditioning is boosting your Buddha nature. Remember, boosting your Buddha nature, and therefore to increase the immediate condition when they're sick. Your money will be better used if you visit a sick and help them to get the right medication. I mean, that's the immediate condition. Is they say, beat the iron while it's hot. That's right. Spend the money while they need, and then you have truly use it as to enhance your virtuous quality immediate condition, and it becomes possessive positive condition. Yeah. First, clear the narrow precipices where it is. Yeah, you can't go further where if the rest of the road is very wide and very well, plain and no problem, you can travel. But you have to clear the narrow precipices that is blocked. So, illness or sickness of somebody is what you have to clear. That is the truth of the suffering. That is that needs to be remedied by your creativity. Dharma is the very thing that is needed during sickness. Dharma means kindness. Dharma means bodhicitta. Dharma means tolerance. Dharma means selflessness. Dharma means tolerance and patience and concentration and wisdom to let go one's attachment. So, if there are sickness in those near and dear and they're around, that is the time you need to practice Dharma, because that's the truth of suffering. Truth of suffering must be understood, not rejected. Origin of the truth of suffering, you want to abandon, but that only can be done by following the truth of the path. So, do not reject sicknesses. How do you know we do not reject sicknesses? We shouldn't be mourning and groaning about sickness. We should say, I got a gift. I got a gift at home. I have a gift at home. Very good. So that means you're engaging on the path. You're engaging on the path because you're supposed to be a nurse. Remember, you're a Sangha member. You're supposed to be a Sangha member to nurse the sick. And you have medicine, the Dharma. You don't have to order from Germany. You're not waiting for the supply of the vaccine to arrive. You have the Dharma. You don't have to wait. And so here now is the path of application. Path of application. You're now truly engaging. Sickness is the broom to sweep away negative deeds and the obscurations and sufferings of the sentient beings. Yeah, sickness can greatly teach you to show the tenderness and nurseness that you are nurse. You're wearing this pretty nurse uniform with a funny hat on the top for what? So what's the point of you taking refuge in Sangha when you're not willing to you're willing to use the broom? The sickness is the broom. Sickness is the broom to sweep away your own negative karma as well as those others. It will help to untie the knot of your miserliness. Yeah, now give. Now give someone that needs your money, that needs your help, and untie the knot of your miserliness. When somebody's sickness, you never would regret giving money for that, because that is you completely release the knot of your miserliness. Sickness is the implorer of the thought of renunciation through your attachment to the material possessions, thinking I will need it later, all of that, and time to recollect the Buddha, the teacher who show you path, So then you realize, I took refuge in the Buddha, I took refuge in the Dharma in the morning, but this is the real time I should take refuge in the Dharma, by giving to the poor or the sick or the needy Thus, it is the condition to increase virtue, isn't it? Immediate condition. So someone who's sick, someone who needs our help, is the immediate condition. That's actually finding the real blue flower, I went to buy the blue flower, but when the blue flower there, I just said, no, I don't want to buy, change my mind. Maybe there's a better one in another shop, By the time I drove another 2 kilometers up there, then there's no blue flower there. Then I go back where they were there, they're already gone. It's like that, yeah. Always looking for something else, not really using the immediate opportunity. Yeah. So that's just a prologue of this topic. So the four actual definite conducive factors are heat, peak, forbearance, and excellent Dharma. So you got to remember these terms. Why they call heat? Why they call heat? Heat refers to when you rub two pieces of wood to produce fire. Before it becomes fire, it will become heat, yeah? If it's going to become fire, you have to rub so much that out of the two cold pieces of wood, it becomes a heat, yeah? Its heat is the sign, it's omen that it will become fire, okay? So like that, when you meditate on the emptiness of self, and emptiness of phenomena, and then practice bodhicitta for those who don't understand emptiness of self, but grasp to aggregate as self, grasp to feeling as self, grasp to success as self, and people as mine, and all of that, then develop compassion to them, and that's the other twig, and you are this twig. This twig are now rubbing. So no rubbing, no fire, okay? In comfort, in isolation, no fire is produced. So the rough and tough friction are necessary to produce the fire. Friction, I'm not talking friction of all the conflict and throwing rocks at each other. I'm talking about emotional enmity and anger and resentment and bitterness and all this non-verbal communication of hate and not rejecting each other, not liking each other, this kind of friction. With bodhicitta, those friction actually burn away the barks of the tree, and when they rub, and then it will become heat. Firstly, with the wisdom of the heat. So what wisdom of the heat is, like I gave you the analogy of rubbing, wisdom of heat, realizing lack of the true nature of the truth of origin. Yeah, even the true nature of the truth of origin. Truth of origin is self-grasping and affliction and karma, and it doesn't truly exist, let alone the person who has them. Give yourself and them a break. Meditate on the emptiness of the truth of origin. So it's not so much meditating on the emptiness of suffering, but the origin itself is not truly existent. Yeah? What does it do? It destroys the Mara of affliction. Now these four discriminative, conducive factors correspond to the four Maras, okay? 4 Maras. When you give rise to the heat, it destroys the Mara of affliction. Because affliction is the true origin of suffering, isn't it? So true origin of suffering does not truly exist. Even true origin of suffering is not true. If we understand emptiness, okay? If you remember Heart Sutra says there's no suffering, there's no origin. Exactly, then now there's no origin of truth of suffering that exists independently. So that is the one that destroys the Mara of affliction. That's the Klesha Mara. Okay, that's the first one. And the second one is the truth of origin is caused by the grasping to I and me and mine and self. It is conditioned by the grasping to form and imputed sign as real. These are by nature 3 poisons. So the 3 poisons is that which creates the true origin of suffering. Yeah? So therefore, truth of origin will cease if there is no grasping. Without the grasping to self, aggregate as self and name as self, and this, then there will be no. Because of that, it conditions the grasping to body and a name and a color and an address and nationality and ethnicity as me. God, such a delusion. They're fighting over colors of the skin or the names, color of the flag. They're fighting over a piece of color of the flag. Sometimes they don't know which is New Zealand flag or Australian flag. You know? So they're fighting over signs, and imputed them as real, as me. That is me, they call it. Yeah? And grasping to form and imputed signs as real and self and mine. So it is from that fundamental misunderstanding developed the grasping to I, and then that gave rise to the true origin of suffering. So true origin of suffering is grasping to the ego. What is the ego? It's just merely imputed with some signs and things as real, and then get attached to it, fight over the flag, fight over the piece of whatever, logo or something, whatever it is. So therefore, the Mara of affliction needs to be destroyed by meditating on the emptiness of the truth of origin. That is the wisdom of heat. Okay? That's the wisdom of heat. So when we're talking about the four conducive factors, there are four wisdoms. From these arose the root affliction. Yeah, from this grasping to the signs and imputed phenomena as self, and then this gave rise to the root afflictions, those 6 root afflictions, such as ignorance, greed, hatred, pride, jealousy, and a wrong view. So those 6 root afflictions, and from the 6 reflection came 22 near afflictions, and then that grew as many, many others to create lots of karma. So now we're coming to this. This root and secondary affliction gave rise to the wind and bile and phlegm diseases. So all the diseases that we have in the body came from the caused by the destructive emotions. Destructive emotion causes the wind, because a lot of ignorance and wrong views gives wind in the head. Wind disease in the head. And bile and phlegm is related with the desire and hatred in the body. So all the bodily diseases are caused by afflictions. Afflictions caused by self-grasping. The experience of suffering of birth, old age, sickness, death clearly shows that truth of origin is the root of suffering. When the conditions gather, it gives rise to massive what we call karmic confusions. By meditating on the selflessness of the person, now this is talking about meditating on the emptiness of self, with the wisdom of the heat, which is the first of the 4 conducive factors, the grasping to the I and the self will be destroyed, or at least decrease at the beginning. Destroyed is too optimistic, I think. will be decreased, or will be recognized. Oh, I got so much grasping so I didn't realize I have so much self-grasping. Most people don't know the self-grasping at all. They haven't discovered this problem. When you have become Mahayana practitioner, when you really begin to attend this kind of lesson more than 3 terms, then you're discovering, self-grasping. Yeah, I've heard that. I didn't realize there was this problem in so-called self-grasping. It's always as people or things or the institutions or societies or they're not doing right. Always out there, It never grasped, never had comprehended the problem caused by self-grasping. So this Tuesday night class is very dangerous for you. very hazardous for the comfort of the eminent self. So you guys are brave, they call courageous, yeah. Courageous, but courageous Manjushri did likewise. We call it. Yes, that's right. Courageous. You wanted to rub this ego with another twig, and to produce some fire and incinerate it. The realization of selflessness of phenomena destroys the clinging to form and imputed sign as real. When there is no cause that gives rise to affliction, which means no clinging and grasping to self, the non-production of affliction destroys the mara of affliction. Yeah. So there is a kind of lull, there is a kind of intermission or stoppage of the proliferation of self-grasping. There's a pause. There's a kind of an intermission. There's a break from the proliferation of self-grasping, and when there's non-production of the affliction, destroys the mara or dampens the mara of affliction. This is also called the rejection of the conception of the fundamental basis that support the omnipotent affliction. The omnipotent affliction is self-grasping. Now the omnipotent affliction does not support the other afflictions. The afflictions doesn't have leg to stand on. Very good. So we can cripple him. We have crippled him now. He's still got the torso. But he hasn't got much leg to stand on. You have crippled him. The mara of affliction. Now, realization of the truth of the noble truth of the path with the wisdom of peak now destroys the mara of the son of the god. Son of the god is we have four maras, mara of affliction, mara of aggregate, mara of fear of death, and mara of son of the god. So that this is what we're referring to. Realization of the noble truth of the path with the wisdom of peak destroys the mara of the son of the god. Here the antidote is the truth of the path. Antidote is the truth of the noble truth of the path. Remember, the objective was the noble truth, or four noble truths. So here the antidote is the noble truth of the path, because noble truth of the path is that which remedies the problem. The attachment to this is the conceptual attachment to antidote. Now, so as soon as you develop an antidote, they say, wait a minute, don't get attached to that. So the whole piece of wood that is now got warm and burning, you shouldn't touch it. Yeah? The realization of the lack of inherent existence of the antidote severs the clinging to the antidote. And this is called the destruction of mara of the son of the god. Because otherwise ego get really excited saying, oh, I got the antidote, oh, this is don't speak about the antidote when you have got the antidote. Is it, remember, inexpressible, profound, and peace, tranquilizing and transcendental. It's because of that. This is because the clinging to the antidote itself is the mara of the son of the god. Yeah. Now, the clinging to the antidotes are, okay, now this is very, very beautiful, quite profound. Of course, they are always profound, but he says, clinging to the antidotes are, what are the clinging to the antidotes are? Clinging to the general form of the view of emptiness. So from the point of view, you're clinging to the view of emptiness. Say, oh, emptiness is so great. So it's amazing. So I'm suffering from that right now. Because I'm talking about the problem that we shouldn't have. And I wouldn't be so motivated and so to talk about it with I don't have this subtle clinging. So allow that, okay? Allow that for the sake of the class. So hopefully I don't have. But at the moment it is speaking. clinging to the general view of emptiness is the clinging to the antidote on the view, in relation to the view. Okay, that's clinging to the view. Clinging to the attention that holds onto the mind of the calm abiding meditator is the clinging to the meditation. Clinging to the meditation, yeah. Now you realize you need meditation to get these realizations. And then, now the clinging to the meditation that holds attention to get the view is clinging to the meditation. So that's the clinging to the antidote of meditation, because view, meditation, and then conduct, of course, clinging to the practice and restraint, practicing giving, restraining miserliness. You're miserly again. You should practice giving. Yeah, give. You're attached to giving. And you have aversion to miserliness. And always you're toing and froing between the two, So you're clinging to that. That is the clinging to the conduct. Antidote, that is the conduct. Of course, these may not be a problem just yet. So if it's not a problem yet, you haven't got problem at all. Most people don't have this problem of antidote, clinging to the antidote. They don't even know what the problem is, let alone the antidote they have to get rid of. So I wonder why it's called heat. You have to be in an amazing fiery state. And then you have not only left the problem, but now you're about to get rid of the antidotes. But we haven't got any clue of antidotes. Sorry, I might be wrong there. I cannot tell where everybody is at. But because we are talking of the perfection wisdom, so we have to talk about this level, yeah? Heat. So heat is the heat is part of application in calm abiding meditation. When you do is not so much that in the meditation you can sit still and all of those qualities. There are a lot of signs and omens of calm abiding, but it's more about emptiness, and not getting attached to the antidote. So those are the clinging to the antidote of relation to the view, meditation, and conduct, and then clinging to fear, clinging to the fear and hope is the concerning the result. That's a clinging to the result, because you're fearing you are not making progress. You're hoping you will make progress. So you're constantly penduluming between fear and hope. So that is the clinging to the result. Clinging to the result. And then disappointed. When there's no result, there's a disappointed. When you try so hard, you hope you will have it. So this duality of fear and hope, hope is clinging to the antidote of the result, And then the clinging of the bliss of vain and a subtle air, because people usually meditation, when your meditation is very, very good in long retreat, you overcome the pain and you have actually pliancy, physical bliss, a mental joy. It's a very subtle spiritual excitement and some kind of high feeling, rapturous, sometimes rapture, joy, increase of joy, devotion, gratitude, whatever you call it. Because there's sort of some kind of subtle shift in the veins and a subtle prana and air, and therefore you may not be craving any food, particular food anyway. You're not craving or longing the company of anyone. You're not coveting anything, but your mind is almost absent of all the gross afflictions, and because of that, you have some kind of physical rapture and mental joy, which happens in the meditation, And then one says, wow, this is the way. Then clinging to those blissful experiences. And then send a text to your friend, I'm nearly there. That's a clinging to antidote again. And then you like yourself being on the retreat. Then you like your best in the retreat. Say, oh, I'm so glad I'm in retreat. Who wants to go out there when you can when you can all do here? And then you say, I'm so wise, I'm so disciplined. And then you have this amazing self-aggrandizing aggrandizement happening, which is quite, I mean, let us give us a break. At least try hard enough to get that, okay? Before you think it's a problem. So anyway, so it's a possible, you know. And some great yogis who have sung a lot of songs regarding their experience meditation have mentioned all of these things, you know. And saying, I'm good, I'm disciplined, and I'm going to be very good practitioner. Look at this, I now no miss anybody. I don't need anybody who wants to come out through this troubled world. That kind of feeling. Oh, he says, it's a sheer arrogance if you don't understand what you're talking about. It's another form of spiritual arrogance. It's a spiritual arrogance, yeah. But you don't know that spiritual arrogance unless you have the heat. If you have the heat, a kind of conducive factor, you know, this is spiritual arrogance. If all these clingings, which regard to view, meditation, conduct, fear and hope, the bliss, and the notion of how good I am, all of these, if all these clingings are destroyed, which is quite a handful to destroy, the Mara of the Son of God has been overcome, since the Son of God can do no harm from here onwards. But if you have this feeling, I am good, I am nearly there, this is the actual Son of the God. This is the same ego we were talking about is the cause of the problem. It just have now manifested in a form of spiritual, materialistic kind of clinging. So we need to be very subjective to notice these things. Okay, that's about that's the first of the four conducive factors, heat. Then the realization of the truth of suffering with the wisdom of forbearance destroys the Mara of aggregate. Now this is just coming to the Mara of aggregate, yeah? Realization of the truth of suffering, because truth of suffering is all suffering in the body, remember? Suffering in the body in the form of illness or whatever. The wisdom of forbearance, meaning forbearing the suffering in the body, and without intimidated by the truth of suffering in the body, but having the wisdom to forbear the sufferings as a cause to remedy your pride and to exhaust your negative karma, is start of the destruction of Mara of aggregate. Yeah, Mara of aggregate. You no longer suffer the body. You no longer suffer the body, but you forbear. You are tolerant. You're tolerant with the difficulties of the body. So using forbearance of the truth of suffering as the object, instead of despising and rejecting the suffering of the body as a problem that more normally people would say, but one realizes it as an excellent condition for practicing forbearance. And he now welcomes and receives with the great humility and remedy to pride, and purification and a broom of the negative karma that really sweeps away. So by meditating on forbearance, one can pacify the physical pain and mental anguish. Not because to reduce the symptoms so much, but the aversion to the physical pain is now no longer there. Because of that, the symptoms of the physical pain become the cause of giving rise to this forbearance, and make a very positive comparison of how much physical pain there is just to bring bread on the table. And so this physical pain is nothing in relation to those. Therefore, it is said that the Mara of aggregate is overcome through the wisdom of exercising forbearance. Yeah, so that's why people who sit long time in the posture, not minding the aches and pains and whatever the body go through, are actually the excellent opportunity to burn the karmic calories and exhaust the negative karma and remedy the pride and so on. And that forbearance, meaning you bear the hardships with the wisdom, knowing I'm not my body. Body is not really truly existing me. And therefore, it's just an aggregate. And I should use these rather than let it enslaves me other way around. Let me the master of my aggregate rather than the slave of it, which has been the opposite. Up till now, we have been the slave of the aggregate. Now we are talking we are now revolutionizing. We are practicing French Revolution to the aggregate, saying we had enough. All these years, I worked so hard. I thought you were the real one. Now you're actually rebelling against the overload that has unfairly enslaving us this long for little or no wage even. No wage for the mind at all. No wage for the mind at all. All the benefit taken by the body itself, put inside here, put on there, and never give to the mind all this time. Now there's a fundamental revolution happening because you are able to reverse the importance of the mind's well-being as opposed to the well-being of the body. So the realization of the truth of cessation. Now this is coming to the truth of cessation. Yeah, realization of the truth of cessation with wisdom of excellence of Dharma. This is the fourth one. Excellence of Dharma destroy the Mara of death. Yeah, Mara of death. Now there's no fear of death. Why? Because one has realization of truth of cessation. Truth of cessation actually means it no longer continue to exist. Because of that, you realize how excellent the Dharma is, how precious the Dharma is. Previously, you already thought Dharma was precious. Now it's incredibly you couldn't even conceive. Now you couldn't think of how excellent Dharma is. It's beyond. So excellence of Dharma that you truly realize. This is why the people who have reached the path of preparation on the path for excellence, their faith of Dharma will never drop down. Their faith in Dharma is ever increasing, waxing continuously, because they have now realized, they have now validated the truthfulness, how true the Dharma is through their experience. Therefore, they don't fear death. By virtue of the rejection of the clinging to phenomena only as a mere imputation, there is the freedom of birth and death that are caused only by karma affliction, which originated from manifest clinging. The manifest clinging or grasping to things as real is already destroyed during forbearance. Here even the clinging to the imputation is destroyed. Now during the excellence of Dharma. In the excellence of Dharma, the clinging to the imputation is destroyed. Yeah. Through the realization of the wisdom of heat, the omnipotent afflicted conceptions are destroyed. The wisdom of peak, which is the second, destroy the conceptions of the dependent antidotes. So we were talking about all the attached clinging to the antidotes. Yeah, that's the peak one. after heat. After heat, we got peak, peak. And the wisdom of forbearance destroys the conception of the clinging to the substance of existence as real. So this is talking about the substance of the realization itself as real. So we do not have any clinging to that. That's the third level. And this is summation. The wisdom of excellent Dharma, which is the fourth, destroys the conception of the clinging to the notion of what exists due to imputations. So only things are only things because of the labeling and imputations. So now one doesn't have the clinging to the imputations. So these are correlation. These are relationship between the definitive four conducive factors, four noble truths, and the four maras, four maras, as well as four maras, and how the afflicted conceptions, the antidote, and clinging to the substance, and clinging to the imputations are all remedied. So there's a beautiful correspondence there when you look at in relationship with the four noble truths, four conducive factors, and four realizations. So this is very important now. Now we're looking at how did the four maras arise? Are the four maras some external four maras? Or why does the four maras arise? The general cause of them, meaning the four maras, is both self-grasping and grasping to things as real. So the cause of the mara is grasping to self as real and things as real. So that's called self as real and phenomena as real. These two grasping to self as I am, and those things are mine, or whatever things are mine, these two graspings gave rise to the mara of affliction. So, so how do you know you have self-grasping? Because you have a grasping to say I am. So I as soon as we think I am, we have the mara of affliction, and that means he's not. That's not mine. That's mine. All this I am and that is not. That is this. This is Klesha Mara. Okay, so it's very simple. Rongton is so useful to talk about that. But when meditating on the antidote of the afflictions, came the Mara of the Son of the God. Now, Mara of the Son of the God usually doesn't really proliferate very much, because Mara of the Son of the God is when you're doing something antidotal to remedy the problems, and then spiritual self-importance is the saying this is the antidote for this, this is the antidote for this. You should do view, action, meditation, all these things you need. Yes, I've got this. Then we take a notes, then we develop all the things, and then we pack them up and we go to the retreat. We have all the instructions. We have carried all the instructions on the back. When the Xuanzang returned from India, he came back with all the loads of Dharma books, went to China, all the antidotes. So that kind of example, yeah. So Mara, I'm not saying Xuanzang had a lot of Son of the God. Xuanzang is a great realized bodhisattva, so he probably hasn't got that. But most people, when they get the antidote in their sleeves, they develop the Mara of the God, Mara of the Son of the God, Devaputra Mara. That's the second one. Third one, the grasping to aggregate as real caused the Mara of aggregate, to emerge. So that, so because then we think I am this, my leg hurts, oh, I wish I didn't have to go through this. Oh, this my body, my this. All these things is the Skandamara. From this arose the fear and hope of getting well and not getting sick again, and buying life insurance and hoping it will save you. This is the Mara of Lord of Death. Lord of Death. We are subscribing Lord of Death by buying insurance. So the maras, these 4 maras have 4 causes, yeah? So this is very interesting when you look at it. So this is a bit subtle, but if you can think through this, very helpful. So the mara, these maras have 4 causes. You know, these causes mean they work for the perception. Your perception, they work for your perception and accompany them as a retinue and cause obstacles on the path and virtuous activity. These 4 maras. The 4 maras accompany your perception. They make you to see things, incorrect ones as correct ones. They say, I made him to see them real. I made them to see good, permanent, real. And so the 4 maras work, accompany your perception as retinues, as your service people, as your support, and cause obstacles on the path and virtuous activities. Even if you're when you're practicing the Dharma, the mara, those 4 maras try to create obstacle for you. I slipped and I broke my leg. Oh, this is not good for my practice. Oh, I can't continue the retreat. The Mara says, yes. Aggregate Mara, aggregate says, yes. So the Maras work as a supporting crew for all things to go wrong. And they become the retinue of the knowledge of the Mara and instigate worldly schemes, deeds, and rulings. Yeah. So you're so wakeful when you're talking about worldly things. All of a sudden, when you come to Dharma, it's very, very dull. So Maras know which to switch on, what to switch off. They become the retinue of Maras meditation and cause dullness and agitation in the meditation and dim the quality of concentration of the meditation. When you're meditating, they say, oh, let's go and dim his meditation. Because the body, aggregate Mara of aggregate says, oh, I don't want to sit like this so long. And then the other Mara says, yeah, I know. So all the community in the bodily aggregate, they all says, this is too much. Yeah, I know it's too much. This is too long. Yeah, it's too long. So all the retinues, all the troops are working against your meditation. So that's it. They become the retinue of the Mara's meditation, cause dullness and agitation in meditation, dim the quality of the concentration of meditation. They become the retinue of Mara of aggregates and create 3 minor, medium, severe sicknesses. Yeah, then all of a sudden you meditate and your health problem manifests all of a sudden. What an excellent time to get sick. Yeah, that's right. Excellent time to get sick. Yeah. Once you practice going very well, the sickness takes over you. At that time, there arises the 4 allies of the Mara. There are four allies. These 4 allies are actually worldly Maras. Now, these are external worldly Maras. They say, oh, he needs our help. So they list these 4 Maras. There's not a lot we can talk about this, but they exist in the world. Yeah. At that time, there arise 4 allies of the Mara. There are Yamshu, the king of Maras, Nyatsun, the king of Maras, Rete Goyak is also king of Maras, and Garab Angchuk. This is the lord of one of the 17 realm gods realm. So these 4 external Maras comes and cause the problem even more. So that's why when people are in a really deep meditation, their obstacles are not people or weather or something like that, but their own. The Maras only come when your practice is good. When you're persevering practice, the Maras manifest, but you can't outsmart the Maras. You have to understand them, deal with them with four noble truths and 4 conducive factors. Reducing this attachment and clinging to the self, and aggregate, and antidote, and fear and hope, these things. You have to learn how to change those. So with the Four Noble Truths and the wisdom discerning emptiness. The first Mara of the four, the king Yamshu enters through the crown and causes dullness. That's his job. He's a skull specialist. His skull. He says, I go and damage his skull. Not the skull, but cause he goes and crown. People have a lot of heaviness in the head when they meditate. Okay. When dullness fades away, the Mara King Garawangchuk enters the heart and causes agitation and irritation. Then they take turn. He goes into your heart, and the Garawangchuk causes a lot of agitation and irritation, and become restless and so on. When the agitation is internalized, Nyatson demon enters through the mouth and makes one to become angry and speak many bad words. So the retreatants are talking to himself, yeah. He's talking, self-talking, yeah. The Mara King Reche Goyang has high hopes with everyone. This is called by the masters, it should be better than this. What is going on with this? So he thinks. You always say, what's wrong with my meditation? It should be better than that. My meditation isn't making any progress. I thought you're supposed to be getting this. I have done this 3 months already. It should be better than this. He just makes you discontented with your performance. He just increases a lot of hope and a lot of unrest. If these maras are present, physical pain and hurt will occur. In order to destroy these four maras, there are two ways how to meditate on the four definite conducive factors. So this is talking about. Now, it's not so much if. You will definitely need to do this. And a lot of people wanted to meditate on emptiness and do a lot of staring in the sky and try to understand emptiness and so on and so forth. But he says your body will starting to experience these conditions of the four maras because you are doing practice. So therefore, you have to meditate on these four conducive factors. But this has two: preparation and the actual meditation. Preparation of the four conducive factors and the actual meditation for. First, one should gradually start with the meditation on impermanence and death. The teaching of Buddha Dharma does not accept monks' levitation. Meaning levitation, meaning people shouldn't, Dharma doesn't accept or promote levitation. Because people think when they meditate, they will levitate and they have all these supernatural powers. Descension is wrong Dharma. Descension wrong Dharma means you don't go so high, you don't all of a sudden get very high and then come down. This is wrong Dharma. All that is discordant with the mind stream is wrong Dharma. All Dharma is wrong if they do not remedy afflictions. So remember those, even if you have a lot of sense of pride and excitement and rapture, but you should still learn to remedy the clinging by not clinging to them, yeah? But if one is clinging, I'm levitating, I can remember past, I can read his mind, now I'm getting there. One is getting so much attached to it. So therefore, the emptiness realizing mind prematurely is going wrong. All Dharma does not sail forward like a boat is wrong. So it means practitioners' practice should move forward rather than aiming high and then dropping down. The practice also should gradually begin from the foundation. One cannot first overcome subtle afflictions. One should gradually renounce the gross ones first. In order to get deep inside, first one has to break the door open. So therefore we have to open the door to gain these insights. So then, what is the first gross thing one has to renounce? This solely depends on the conception of not accepting death and dying. Yeah, because there's a lot of fear of death, a lot of wanting to deny and reject and delay death. So this depends on the conception not So we have this innate rejecting and not accepting death, or when we die, or where we die. Nothing is convenient for us. If somebody came from the Lord of Death and said, okay, I came to tell you when you're going to die, where you're going to die, how you will die. And you can say, what are they? When I'm going to die? Oh, none of these I don't want to accept. So someone is going to tell you all the time, exact date and place and the time and when you die, and nobody is willing to accept that. No, I'm not going to die then. not there. Not until I finish that. So most people are not ready to die. So he says, solely depends on conception of not accepting death. So meaning we reject. This is very essential to practice the path at the beginning. So it means we have to starting to learn to accept death. The conception of rejection of death and dying has brought the existence of very samsara. That is the problem. When the master guides the disciple, he should do it like an experienced mother learns to feed her infant, She should first give 6 months of breastfeeding. And maybe then some then some maybe crash, what do you call, pumpkin or something, not solid food, He should first teach them how to meditate on impermanence and death, not on emptiness. So it means we should all go back to meditate on impermanence. Mother slowly learns to introduce feeding solid after knowing the infant's stomach and digestive system. If she feeds solid food too early, this can cause the infant death. So the master too has to slowly teach the meditation subject in stages. So the meditation on lack of inherent existence of self and all of that is, while it's a very important part of the perfection of wisdom, but people need to first acquaint with the fundamentals. If the vast and deep is taught too early, the students will develop wrong view and take them to wrong path. They don't do the basic, they don't do the preliminaries, they don't want to do devotion and all of that. First, therefore, meditate on impermanence and death. If these generate good realization, the understanding of emptiness will erupt by itself. Because impermanence is mild form of emptiness, but it's not shockingly difficult to intellectually understand. You can witness impermanence of form, of nature, of flora, of fauna, of people, of the government system. Everything is constant reminder of how transient and changeable all things are. And that's why it states one sutra, the best thought is the thought of impermanence. The best footprint is the hoofprint of elephant. The best taste is the taste of mother's breast milk. The best crops is the autumn crops. So therefore, the best thought we should learn to meditate, that everybody can learn to relate, is impermanence. It is said the great master Shantipa is a 10th century Indian master, also first meditated on impermanence after he cultivated preparatory definitive conducive 4 factors. So before you meditate on the four conducive factors of heat and peak, forbearance and excellent Dharma, you should always meditate on impermanence first. In India, they all face south and do the meditation on impermanence and death. They do meditation in cemeteries. They deliberately go to cemeteries. Why do they meditate on death while facing face? There are more than 36,000 cities in India. Now this is written in written in 15th century. So that's Rongton. I don't know where he got the figure from. Maybe Bureau of Statistics of Tibet. He researched, and there were 36. I don't know. These days there will be more than 36,000. You wouldn't believe how many big mega cities India has in comparison to Australia, Sydney. Sydney is a beautiful city. It's really like a real city with a lot of good road. And in India, it's just cities everywhere. Like China, India. There, whoever dies, they take his corpse through the southern gate of the city. They lay the corpse on the 4 pieces of wooden palanquin, and 4 men will visibly carry it on their shoulder and walk in the street to make sure that many people witnesses it. While beating a drum, they walk slowly in the city and meditate on the nature of impermanence, not only those who are mourning, but also they make it very well known to people to see the corpse. The meditation on impermanence will cause disgust to samsara and come to realize that I too am subject to this death in impermanence. There is no other way around to this life but this. I too will succumb to this. By its own characteristic, death has no alternative. In meaning that you only have to die. That's there's no alternatives. Whether you eat or not eat, maybe is alternative. You can fast tonight, so that's great. Whether you fast or don't fast, whether you succeed or don't succeed, you still will die. Whether you conquer enemies or not, you still will die. So there is no real alternative. So one needs to meditate on the certainty of death. And the meditation, meditation on impermanence will induce renunciation and meaninglessness of all things, and you will starting to lose your appetite to grasp them as real or permanent or truly existing. There is no other way around to this. So, by its own characteristic, you will be able to understand. Everything that you think you have or you are, they are not going to be there very soon. And so it's just a question of how quickly it's slipping out of your hand. I am definite to die, as I too will die, just like the body carried in the street. See, this society does not allow to see the dead body. They make this fantastic shiny box. The people don't have even as a furniture in whole life. and they cover it with a lot of flowers. And the body is made much makeup, and the body looks like... The other day I saw the face of the Kantipalo. He's nearly 90-year-old man. He's not really handsome at all. But when he's dead, he looks much more handsome than he was alive. In India, they don't. They just let the body to be just barely wrapped in a very visible. It's a dead body, They never hide it from reality. They just make it. They beat the drum and a conch. They blow the conch, beat the gong, and make everybody know it's a dead body. And it's so therapeutic for people to know that things are not self is not self. When body has no breath in it, then the body is not self. And that phenomena is one who's talking is actually will be on that situation one day. But if he dies in Australia, unluckily, they'll put him in a shiny box and do a mysterious disappearance. They lower the box. Nobody can see this decomposed body of Lama Choedak. They should see the decomposed body of their father and mother and the brother and husband and wife. It's such an eye opener for people to realize emptiness of body, emptiness of self in the body, of the body, and so on. So what he's talking about is this meditation on emptiness will dispel attachment and clinging, grasping to the body as self and inherently existing self. After examining the nature of the corpse, the purpose of this meditation has to be fulfilled. Meaning, because when you meditate on the body, corpse, I too will inevitably become like this. So in India, the relatives participate in carrying the body. The honor of carrying the body is usually given to the elder son, that he will be able to carry the body of the father. Maybe if he has other brothers, others will do. If not, other next to kin, they will carry. So as a great knowledge that they will also learn to know, this is inevitable. I too will inevitably become like this, thinking this, that there is no difference between this corpse and my body. One should meditate on comparison. And of course, when we are breathing and when we are consciousness, of course we will not be treated as a dead body. But when we are lying, sleeping, people say he's drop dead. He's dead asleep. Only thing that he's not corpse is he's still got some bodily temperature. And now, is he connected with the power? Is he connected with the power point or what? Where does the temperature comes? But the rest of the body looks like drop dead body. Yeah, because it's alive still. The consciousness is still there, warmth is there, but otherwise the body has actually dropped quite a lot of temperature when it sleeps. It has almost dropped quite a lot of degrees. Do you know when you sleep, your body temperature drops? That's why you need electric blanket when you sleep. That's why you need all these blankets. That's why you need all the doona. But in the evening, just 1 hour ago, you're sitting there, you don't need any of that because temperature is still warmed up by the wine, maybe right wine. But wait until you go to sleep. The red wine would have no effect on you. Its temperature will drop almost near to death. Sometimes people become cold. If they are not inside the blanket or doona, you can see the body get cold. I remember my mom, when my sister-in-law young children, sort of dinner time, they just fall asleep lying there, and she touches them. She said, "Oh, bring the blanket, but they went so cold." But she wouldn't do that while someone's sitting upright and the body temperature hasn't been dropped. But you wouldn't believe how quickly our body temperature drops when sleep. Now, if the temperature is dropping, so does the breathing slows down. So does all the 4 elements are dropping. We actually have semi-death kind of experience. So the types of dead bodies at the cemeteries are, this is India, In India, and Buddhism is very good at describing dead bodies of different. They are very good at dating them. They can give you graphic description of what each of them look like. This is animate dead body talking. Okay. This is an animate dead body talking, and his voice is projected through the mic through all over Australia. Can you believe it? How living he is. How alive he is made. But otherwise, if I didn't have this kind of mic and projector, the voice might not carry more than 20 meters. But now it can carry all the way wherever you are and still record it, You see, it's recorded, It looks like he's never going to die. It's quite an antithesis for realizing death. This is always recorded. Yeah. So a fresh corpse that was just delivered in the graveyard. First think of a fresh corpse that was just delivered in the graveyard. And so that will be just it's still covered on, and you have to open the king to notice whose face it is. Just like Kantipalo's face I looked at the other day. Yeah, this is Kantipalo. You don't want to go to the wrong funeral, do you? You know, make sure you are attending to the right body's funeral. So much attachment. You could attend any funeral, that will do, but no, I have to go to this one. Corpses that has been delivered 1 or 2 days have become decomposed. Yeah, it's smelling. Yeah, smelly. Particularly if it's in the middle of the summer, you wouldn't believe how quickly they will decompose. You know, not just when they have delivered on the place, but on the way to delivery, the body will decompose. Other corpses have been devoured by vultures and dogs, with the intestine pulled out and strewn nearby. So this looks like very, very ancient India, yeah, ancient India. These days you never see this, you know. In Tibet this happens, you know. They don't do this. They just deliberately cut them in pieces and feed them, you know, within an hour. It's all fed and all the big barbecue happens with all the vultures. There are some corpses that still have flesh and bone held together by tendons. But you couldn't see the head there, you couldn't see the face there, but quite a lot of the parts of the flesh and bones and skins are there. There are some corpses with bones strewn everywhere. You wouldn't know whether it's a male or female, let alone who it is. Some old bones, after passage of many years, have become so white like conch shells in the cemeteries, you know. Some of the bones have turned blue like color of doves. Some corpses are infested by worms, and some with the ear standing erect. all the rest of the body has been eaten by jackals and dogs, but the ears of the dead person still the last tendon uneaten. Uneaten, you know. By merely seeing the sight of how blood and pieces of flesh are strewn everywhere will arouse deep change and renunciation. As soon as by seeing how all the head hairs of the corpse is hanging on the branches of tree, and hearing owls and jackals, etc., howling and making unpleasant sounds, will also arouse deep renunciation. So this is talking about the therapeutic value, spiritual value of going to the cemeteries, yeah, going to the cemeteries. And in the old days in ancient Indian and Buddhism, the monks have to meditate this regularly to keep their renunciation alive, you know. Keep their renunciation alive, yeah. As soon as by seeing how all the, by meditating and thinking that my body too is subject to and certain to die and have to face death and its reality, one should remove attachment and aversion. So by doing this, you're seeing almost no self that is in the body, that is any part of the body. No matter how good an arm you had, but once it is off the shoulder, it's not a good arm at all. No matter how good long fingernails you have, but once nobody wants the fingernails, you know, because it's empty of self, you know. The purpose of doing meditation and impermanence is to think in short terms, think always in short terms. Even if there's a problem, you just say, "I'll be dead one day. Why take this matter so seriously?" It will straight away stop clinging to the problem that you want your way, or they shouldn't have their way. All that kind of waste of clinging and grasping and attachment, aversion, is not being able to think how inevitable the death is, how empty the whole everything is, when the self itself is subject to death. What is anything really, when there is no body inside which you are alive? So that's why this teaching says you have to acquaint yourself with meditation on the death and dying and a process of the decomposition of the body, in order to really wake you up and then realize the emptiness of self. And emptiness, anything the self has that were important, it's no longer important. Only days ago, the person's possessions were millions worth, or maybe 100,000 worth. But as soon as the person dies, all his things drops the value. It's called disease state, it's called. Yeah. Most people don't want anything. No, most people don't want to buy a cloth of the deceased, furniture of the deceased. They usually give it to the op shops. And that's why things in op shops are very cheap. So wait a minute whether you're going to go op shop next time. Maybe you don't mind. There's no no self who's buying anyway. So you don't mind no self buying nothing. So no problem. No wonder why all the death estate is so cheap. Often become cause of discord between some siblings. Can you believe it? What terrible karma, clinging and grasping this. So, the purpose of the meditation impermanence is to enable us to not just think about the dead body all the time, think everything only in short term. Just this, So don't try to drag on the conflicts, drag on the case, drag on the fight. Just think it's a complete waste of time. Don't see them as truly important and real existing at all when it is all caused by self-grasping and permanent grasping. So therefore you can see how meditation on the death and dying and process of the decomposition of the body will greatly induce the realization of emptiness of self. I too will face this reality. If this does not happen, I'm no different to a jackal going to a cemetery. When a jackal goes to the cemetery, you know what it goes? He goes to the graveyard beside looking for something to eat. It does not occur, I too will have to face death one day. The jackal doesn't think like that. Because he's only a jackal, remember? So all these jackals with 2 foot, all these 2-footed jackals, and who doesn't take notice that I too will die one day like this. If the mind is not heeding to it, even after doing this meditation, think thus: my mind is momentarily transient. Since I've been here just a while ago, I've been constantly moving nearer towards the death, and not a single moment has been wasted, but headed to that very way. I'm 2 hours nearer to the death than 2 hours ago. I came here at 7 o'clock. Is it 7:30 or 7:45? See, now it's nearly 9:30. We are 2 hours much nearer to death than we started. The session. So, ever since I have conceived in my mother's womb, I have always been heading and reaching nearer towards death than ever before. In terms of this is interesting for you to notice. In terms of speed, getting closer to death is elucidated by the following example. If 4 good archers, these people who are good at archers, were to pull the bow string and shoot the arrow, they are very professional archers, and they will shoot the arrow. If someone were to catch the flying arrow without letting the arrow to hit the target in mid-air, it would be considered very fast. Isn't it? You wouldn't say it's not very fast, someone who can catch it. But there is hardly anybody who will be able to do that because arrow is so fast, and you wouldn't be able to catch the arrow. He says that's considered very fast. But hungry ghosts on the earth goes faster than that. So Hungry ghosts travel very fast, okay? So don't think they'll take days and days and weeks to come to your suro offering. They'll come very speedily. The hungry ghost living in the air runs faster than that. So the hungry ghost from the human beings is faster than the arrow. Hungry ghost from the air is faster than those hungry ghosts. The speed of the sun and the moon is faster than that. The lifespan of human beings elapses even faster than the sun and the moon. From, the other day, it was very, very emotional. Then I have witnessed all my relatives, who are dispersed around all over the world, with the exception of Africa, in all 5 continents. Could you believe some of them haven't seen each other for 60 years? Some for 50 years, some maybe 20 years, like this. And then, of course, there are 3 families, both my parents and then my uncles, my aunties, all of their fathers, my fathers, all dead, yeah? So now we see on each other on the Zoom. My sister, who hasn't seen her other cousin sisters from her uncles, she's 2 years her senior, and then when she see her face on the Zoom, she just cried. She couldn't handle seeing the face because she has aged so much, look like their mother. And she could see this mother that has died long time ago now in her, because she hasn't seen her for 60 years. Now she has aged so much, looking like the very auntie that my sister, of course, misses because they died so many years ago. You remember? And so then she was sobbing that she couldn't believe. She thought her auntie was dead long time ago, but now her cousin has become her auntie. Because when people ages, then you see the very mothers and grandfathers and appearing in the form of your other siblings and nieces and nephews and so on. And I couldn't believe it because I can't remember the face of my auntie because I was too young to remember. So I don't have the memory of what my auntie really looked like. But whereas my elder sister, who is at least 10 years my senior, and then her cousin sister, who is my cousin sister as well, is of course 2 years her senior. And when she looks at her, she just cries. She just couldn't say a word. She just kept crying and sobbing because she couldn't believe she could see her auntie there. She thought it was dead, but looks like she's right. She's become that. So this is what we're talking about. Talking about how quickly we look like those we thought they were very old. And we are passing so quickly, lifespan passing so quickly, nearer and nearer to that, and we don't even know. So what we're talking about from this point is Rongton suggesting to meditate on impermanence and death in order to loosen our grasping to body and looks and abilities and our likes and don't likes as truly existing self. This is a very powerful remedy because otherwise we're not talking about there's no self, there's sort of using a lot of philosophical way of arguing there's no, but just when you really look at the impermanence of the body, when it's inevitably dying body, when you see other dead bodies, when you see your friend who you know so well and now he's dead, can you look at their photo and then they don't exist anymore. Physically, emotionally, they just don't exist. You go to the registry, they have registered dead. In Australia, one thing good about it, they actually have a registry book called death registration. And we wouldn't believe how big the book is. When they talk about population, they talk about only those who are alive. But when you talk about registration and death, then that will outnumber 23 millions, I tell you that. All the people who dead outnumber those who are alive. And yet we grasp as the living, as truly existing, when they are actually walking to that very inevitable one. So this is a kind of milder way of preparing to meditate on the grasping to self, body as aggregate as self, and then all the problems with four maras coming from the grasping to the ego and names and concepts that truly exist, and that how that creates affliction and how that creates aggregate and then fears and hopes and all of that. So that's why how poignant it is to notice how to meditate impermanence of death, and how it slowly helps us to loosen our grasping to things or self as real, or things that are not going your way, you don't mind because I be dead, and things are nothing from its own side. If I'm meant to do, I'll do, even on a relative level. If I'm not meant to do, I don't meant to. Even I did, what is it? Then I'll be dead as soon as I finish it. Dead. Sometimes just halfway before it's dead, before it's done. so most people don't really succeed to see their biggest project in life. They put all the sweat and tear on it. So this is nature of life. And that loosens our attachment to the clinging to I and self and the body and phenomena and things that are going away, whether you like or don't like. And then we naturally loosens our grasping. And that's how death and impermanence is best of all thoughts. And it is prophesied by the Buddha, blessed by Buddha, because this will give you to prepare you to understand emptiness of self and phenomena only by meditating on the impermanence of self and inevitability of death, and how much closer and closer we are getting to the inevitability of death. So with this, we'll conclude here tonight, everyone. Thank you for your patience to listen on such a subject. This is probably the main kind of circuit breaker for our clinging, is by meditating on impermanence and death, not just to create a kind of somber and melancholic feeling, but that's actually the reality. But when you are able to accept impermanence, death, then everything is quite easy to let go. When things does not happen or does happen, you don't get attached to them. Even things doesn't happen, you don't have aversion as much. Why? You're not ignorant. You're not ignorant of the uselessness of both. You now know exactly uselessness of both. See how liberating it is to meditate and see the dying, think of death, and meditating in this topic. Of course, we have just touched the very, very, very top part of that topic. So we'll see you next week. Thank you, everybody, with the dedication of merits of listening and leaving some consequences of this listening on our mind to loosen our grasping to anything, some argument, some views, some opinions, some fixations, some hurts, some pains, some wrongdoings, or alleged wrongdoings by others. You have no idea how useless it is to think it's them, when it's only your grasping to I, being better than them, and imputes them to paint them like that. And both are equally empty of inherent existence. And alas, most of the time, we don't have a sign of compassion for others who have Mara of affliction, as we have Mara of affliction. Yet we think they are the one who deluded, they are the who is wrong. And such blatant negligence of our own Mara of affliction is double demerit. Again, Mara of son of the god is popping, and so on. So it never stops until we are able to pause and then develop the truth of noble truth of path, and then cause some dent to that wrong view, truth of cessation will, and then impart compassion to those who are not coping with the truth of suffering, let alone knowing the truth of origin. Ajana Padadezene Herenda Mahayana Vadeva Mereda Yagra Meove Begas Delaza Troda Mahayana Dize Kareja Manjujrenya Vode Azama Trabadra Lava Follow Ode Zamba Ajade Degode Mere Mede Excellent Body Jida Trebove Edenaya Dazo where has been bo Meyedingre Freely Vidadi Generation. So, thank you very much, everybody. In order to boost your appetite to practice meditation, we are going to offer the 10-day Karma Body meditation, which we could no longer now do in person due to the lockdown. But we are encouraged to offer this online, not just full-time, but also part-time for people who wanted to boost their discipline. As a part-time, only one day or one weekend or every morning, early morning sessions or evening sessions because you're working, or just certain sessions each day or whatever. So those options are being made available throughout this forthcoming retreat, and all the details are there on our website. So you can let others know too, because in this very difficult lockdown period, we want as many people as possible to learn even small techniques of meditation to show their mind toward the light, instead of being really stressed by this increasing lockdown situation that we are facing in Australia. So that's all the informations are on our website. Thank you, everyone.